naval.
Yes, yes.
As a
I
sailor.
also had $50 a month extra, and that was flight orders. So if anyone questioned whether the chute was packed right,
Yes.
I could go up and jump it and prove that it was.
Is that an official cap? the
Yes,
one?
it is.
Yes.
These are wave caps, and they're just like our Legion cap, too, if you belong to a Legion organization.
Well, didn't you start a couple of things? You started the group here, Women Veterans here at Seabrook, and didn't you start
The book club.
Yeah, but we're talking about the Waves. Did you start the Toms River chapter of the Waves?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But I am, what do they call the first member? Charter member. I am a charter member.
Yes.
And we had over 100, and now we're down below 40.
Yes.
You see how they're going.
Well,
And
time takes
the
its toll.
convention, too, there were about 200 at this convention. And the convention in Boston, there were 900, and that was like 10 years ago.
Yes, well, that's understandable. Now, let me ask, let's see, we talked about, you were a woman of valor at one point, and an article was written about you. Now, that was during your stay in the service or after the service?
During,
During. And then let's talk about some of the pictures. First of all, that's a very handsome picture. Let's talk about the one right next to you that's standing up.
Oh, this one?
Haven't changed a bit, lady.
This was how I looked when I went in.
Yes.
And I don't think anyone would recognize me. I thought I would come across somebody I worked with in the Navy at one of these conventions. I never have.
You never have.
But then I feel no one would recognize me either. So.
Oh, well, not necessarily. What about, what prompted you to go into the Waves?
Well, I was teaching school in Claremont, New Hampshire, and I had a homeroom of mostly juniors, a junior homeroom, mostly boys.
Yes.
And after we were strafed in Hawaii,
Yes.
two of the boys who were up back, of course, and near the window, were absent. And I kept looking at those. I knew they had enlisted. I kept looking at those empty seats, and I thought, well, I can do more than teach school. I can help in
Isn't
this.
that
So
something?
then I joined.
Oh, that's a lovely story. Now, Barbie, you said that you had pictures of folding a parachute, and you are in one of them, I do believe. Could you open that manila folder and just open it against your, thank you, just leave it like that.
Yes.
And are you one of those two people?
I am this person.
Okay, now explain what those two people are doing.
We are straightening out the silk, smoothing it out so that it is packed, folded, and put into the package.
Yes, and you said that at your point in time it was silk that was used.
In
and
the beginning.
In the beginning, not nylon as is currently used.
Yeah.
And that you had to treat that silk very specially. Tell us about that.
Well, because when a person opens the chute,
Yes.
it wants to be opened quickly. It's
Yes.
an emergency.
Yes.
And so it has to be opened fast. In order to keep it open fast, it has to be repacked every 30 days.
Why?
It goes into the dry locker. Can I do this?
Just hold it up. Yes, that's fine. Hold it up.
It goes into the dry locker
Yes.
and hangs. It depends on the weather outside, too. In those days, we didn't have air conditioning, so we couldn't pack on a damp day.
What is the effect of moisture on silk?
It makes it expand, so it will not open fast.
I see. I see. Oh, So it goes into some kind of a locker that will dry it, where it's opened up and it dries
Yes.
out, and then it's repacked.
That's right.
You have some other pictures on the table. Why don't you close that folder for the minute?
All right.
And then there are some other pictures.
These are pictures of me. I had flight skins and flight and so I had to fly 4 hours
look
a
at
month.
her. Oh, that was a
And-
requirement.
Yes.
Okay.
So that I could, if I was questioned on the shoot, I could demonstrate that it was all right. And so this is me getting into the airplane.
Yes.
And this was taken for the newspaper in St. Paul.
Ah.
And they said, she's wonderful, she flies, she's a wave. You know, it was
Wonderful.
a recruiting thing.
Yeah, sure.
And so,
So you were responsible for a lot of the publicity about the wave.
yes, because I was in the first group.
Wonderful.
They wouldn't do it after that.
Yeah.
It was just the first timers.
Yes. Well, let's move on to Nancy at this point. And Nancy, you had an interesting experience in your work. What rank were you, and where did you serve?
I was a specialist T, second class teacher.
Oh,
And I went to Hunter at boot camp, and I went to school, Link Trainer School in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, actually in Chamblee Air Base, Naval Air Station,
yes,
and outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
yes.
And that was 8 weeks.
And what did you learn to do there?
Fly the Link Trainer and teach instrument flight.
Can you show us in your book what it looks like?
There's
This is you. This is you. All right.
That's-
And this is you.
That is I, and this is the Link Trainer.
All right. Very good. Were you ever in it? Did you?
Well, we had to learn to fly them
Ah,
because naturally you had to know if you're going to teach it.
of course. So did you solo?
And this?
Yeah.
Well, this never left the ground.
But
It's
had
pretty
you?
well, yeah, what it was attached to this, on the side
Yeah,
of
just
this,
leave it.
and attached to a bunch of cables, what we called a crab.
Yes.
And it sat on a desk with a map.
Yes.
And there was a wheel on the crab that red ink came out, so you could follow the flight of where they were going.
Oh, interesting. High tech even then.
Yeah, it was. These were, well, they're complicated, but compared to the ones that came later, they're very simple.
Yeah.
They ran on bellows. And I stayed with the school and taught, well, I went in 45, so I taught the Marines that were coming back from service to take
Oh.
the waves places as we were discharged.
Oh. Oh.
And
That's
then the
interesting.
school moved to Texas, to Corpus Christi, Texas. And I
So-
was there for about 6 weeks and then was discharged.